We are on chapter 2 and the verse is still going to discuss about Dhiras Tatra Namuhyate. So, if you remember last week, we were discussing that good story which is related with Arjun and his beloved son Abhimanyu, and Krishna Bhagavan took him for the pilgrimage. Okay, so Dhirastatra Namuyate, the wise man. Dhir means the wise man or the enlightened one. The wise man is he who can discriminate between the real and unreal. Such a man never deluded. He can discriminate what is right, what is wrong. He is never deluded and he is not reborn. Dhirastatra namuhyate. Because attachment for guna means qualities or the modes, okay, is the cause of birth in good and evil, okay, to take the birth, okay, and he breaks off his attachment with the qualities. That's why I always give you the example. If we eat jalebi, we say, sweet, very nice. So if jalebi is sweet, even the Sankaracharya eats jalebi, you'll also like it. But we get attached that when I will get this jalebi again. And if Sankaracharya eats, it's happened. Okay, enjoy. Done. So, therefore, Dhir is an adjective describing a person who is able to correctly guide another and give good advice. Dhirastatra namuhyate. Okay. And in these, we have discussed who can be Dhir and what are the qualities for the Dhir. Atma Shraddha or Atma Vishwas, Isha Vishwas and Samarpan. Complete surrender to the Almighty God. Confidence for self, faith for oneself and faith in God. These three things make one Dhira, the wise man. The wise man. And here we have, translated enlightened one. Dhirastatra namuhyate. Okay, let's try to discuss something. Dhirastatra. Now, tatra means, here tatra has been used for the difference between the soul, the spirit and the body. Again, you must remember these two words, sharir and shariri. Sharir, body. Shariri, self. Deh, dehi, deh, body. Dehi, self. Atma. Okay. Here they have used the word spirit, soul, and the body. So here tatra has been used for the difference between soul and body. The difference between the real and unreal. The difference between the permanent and transient. It means that these are totally different and one is never deluded about this because he knows that he is different from the body. Last week I told you that when the moment I say this is my pen. That means this is not me. is separate than me. So this is my body. Body is not me. Me is the Shariri, the Atma, the Self. The body never remains uniform while the Self never becomes multiform. See this? The body never remains uniform while the Self never becomes multiform. The body, Bhagavan says, neither existed before birth nor will exist after death, and at present also it is dying every moment. You know, Sharir. In Gujarati, Sanskrit, body is known as Sharir. Shiryati tat shariram. That's the definition of Sharir. So it's literally slowly dying every moment. But we don't feel, we don't notice. But it's a constant process. It's dying every moment. In fact, the process of its death begins as soon as it comes to the womb. It starts. We don't notice it. It's always there. It's a continuous process. At the death of boyhood, youth ensues. At the death of youth, old age ensues. And at the death of the old age, the embodied self passes on to the another body. The garment is gone now. So let's put the new outfit. Sometimes even the outfit, the garment, if we think for ourselves, okay, it's not even torn, okay, still looks new. But then it's human. We feel, I'm wearing this shirt more than 5 years. Now I don't want to. It's your experience, it's my experience, everybody's experience. So, the old age, the embodied self passes on to the another body. The body undergoes all these states: childhood, young age, old age. Boyhood, youth and old age, these three states are of the physical body, and passing on the embodied self to another body is the state of subtle body and the causal body. But the entity of pure consciousness, which is Atma, the Self, transcends all these states. The states change while the Self remains the same. Okay? The body changing, but the Self remains the same all the time. Thus, the enlightened one who discriminates the distinctiveness of the body from that of the Self is never deluded. That's why I give you very, very simple example. What we call my body, right? That means it's not me. My pen, that means it's not me. It's different than the me. The same principle if we apply for the Sharir and Shariri, then, I understand. We all are sailing in the same boat. But gradually, we need to start understand, and we need to put in practice. It will come right. Otherwise, and that's why the Holy Scripture, Bhagavad Gita, it's a manual book for the life. If you buy the new stove or the fridge, they give us the manual book. This is the book for the life. And when we have that manual book, we follow the instruction. For an example, okay, you have a book for the different recipe for cooking, okay, be it Italian or be it Indian or South Indian or Northern Indian. But just by reading book, it's not going to help us. You have to put in practice. Similarly, here also gradually we need to at least from one corner, from one angle, we need to start put in practice, and then it's definitely going to help us. The embodied soul, in order to reap the fruit of its actions, goes to numberless wombs, to hell and heaven. The utterance prove that, and what we call Chauriasi lakh, 84 lakh. Lakh means 100,000. So 8400,000 form of life are left. It's a cycle, one after the one after the one after the another. Heaven and hell. One is gone, another one come. One is gone, another will come. And it's a cycle of 8400,000 lives. And then we got this human body. Okay. So, but the self ever remains the same. Bodies change, but the self, Shariri, does not change. You see, by the different with different examples, Bhagwan wants to tell that difference, need to understand the difference between Sharir and Shariri, between permanent and transient, between real and unreal. So the Shariri does not change. The self remains one. So it goes to several wombs and several worlds. The entity which goes to several wombs does not get tainted with anyone, does not get entangled anywhere. If it gets tainted and entangled anywhere, then who will reap the fruit in 8400,000 lakh forms of life cycle? Who will go to heaven and hell? Who will attain salvation? Birth and death are not our, means not to the self, to the Atma. Okay? So, that's why, which I give the example now, the Vamsasi Jiranani, the same chapter, verse 22. Okay? So, it's the self is beginningless and endless. Anadi, beginningless. Anant, endless. The self is beginningless and endless, within which several bodies are born and they die. As we change several clothes, but by changing clothes, we ourselves don't change, we remain the same. That exactly this thing Bhagavan is going to tell in the same chapter, verse 22. Vamsasi jirna niyatha vihaya navani grihnati naro parani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnan nyanyani sanyati navani de. As a person sheds worn out garments and wears new ones, likewise, at the time of death, the soul casts off its worn out body and enters a new one. Simple example Bhagavan has given. Similarly, the entity of the self, even by transmigrating to several bodies, ever remains the same. It means that our freedom and detachment are axiomatic. Okay. The self, okay, is totally unattached. Is totally unattached. It is totally detached. Okay. Our life does not depend on a particular body. Today, this body. Tomorrow, another life, another body. It's okay. Because of being detached, we even by transmigrating to several bodies remain the same self. Okay. But by assuming, underline the word, by assuming our attachment to the body, we have to take birth in several wombs, several lives. My body. And then you expand this stuff to any extent. My business, my house, my relatives, this, and then it goes endless. Then it goes endless. The assumed attachment does not stay, but we go on getting attached to other things and persons, etc. As I told you, my house, my business, my dukan. I must go. 10 past 6, I am out. I have to open at 7:45. Yeah. but what if Bhagwan doesn't open your eye? He can't. But we are so attached that we feel that no, if not me, then what's going to happen? Oh, no. The birds will still fly, the river will flow, the ocean will roar. It's going to happen. Nothing will stop. No. So, if we don't get attached to them, salvation or detachment or independence is self-evident, or even they have used the word, the salvation is spontaneous. But the condition is detached, unattached. That is more important. Right. So now, in the next verse, Bhagavan Krishna urges us that we should be indifferent to sorrow and suffering arising from transitory and perishable things like the body, etc. Now we'll be starting the verse 14th. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada. Agama paino nityans tans titikshashva bharata. Agama paino nityans tans titikshashva bharata. O son of Kunti, Bhagavan says, O son of Kunti, bodily sense objects which give rise to the feeling of heat and cold, pleasure and pain, etc., are transitory and fleeting. Therefore, Arjun, bear these patiently. Remain unaffected by them or ignore them. Matra sparshastu kaunteya. Okay. Sparsa means contact, and matra is the senses. Okay, fine. Matra sparsastu kaunteya. Okay. Tu. Tu indeed has been used to explain that transitory things such as body, etc., are different from permanent, which is soul. Matra sparshastu. Senses, including the inner sense, are called matra, and sparsha means contact. Okay, right. So, smell. Okay, so I'm going to smell the rose flower. Okay, so that is object. Okay, and I'm going to smell it with my senses, with my nose. Okay, so that is come into contact. Okay, and then it says shitoshana. Shitoshana sukha dukkhada, pleasure and pain. We will be coming to that point. Okay, so senses, including the inner sense, are called matra, and sparsha means contact. Therefore, all objects which are perceived by senses are called matra. It can be barfi. Yeah, because we're going to taste with the tongue. Okay, or if it is, I mean, very hot. Okay, and we on aircon, we get the good chill air. This all okay, right. So perceived by senses are called matra sparsha, bodily senses. Can affinity with objects also, now that there's a question, can affinity with objects also be included in matra sparsha? The wise man says no. The reason is that it is not inner sense but the self which accepts this affinity, and that affinity remains even when the objects are lost. Okay. Okay. This is but tricky, but let me give you the simple example. Those who are long time with me in Geeta class will know that subjective happiness and objective happiness. Okay, objective happiness. Okay, again let's use a burfi, right? I eat burfi and I'm happy. But that is objective happiness. That means my happiness is depending on that burfi, on that particular object, person, anything. Okay. Whereas the subjective happiness, which is a stream which is inside, which for the happiness, the happiness, the word I'm using for understanding, that's the real word is bliss. In Gujarati, Hindi, Sanskrit, Anand, right? For that you don't need anything. And just from inside. And for that you not depend on anything, on any worldly object or person or any material thing. It's just there. It's just there. Its innocence is inside. And that's why the wise man says, when they become monk and when they change their name, they put Anand. Okay? Sahajananda, Vivekananda, Dayananda, Anand. Because now they for the bliss, for the Anand, and not for the happiness, not for the Sukh. it's a different matter. The reality is it's totally different. They have the title or the adjective of Anand, and the reality is totally different. But let's not go in that subject. Okay. Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhada. The literal meaning, Shit is cold and Ushna means hot. Okay. Here Shit, cold, and Ushna, hot, stand for favorable and unfavorable circumstances or the conditions. Favorable circumstances give us pleasure, while unfavorable ones give us pain. If the terms Sheath and Ushna mean cold and heat, then this will represent only object of touch and their meaning will be limited. Here it's not limited, right? It's favorable and unfavorable. Shita, Ushna. Okay. These will not represent all sense objects and circumstances. Therefore, it's proper to take their meaning as favorable and unfavorable. I mean, circumstances or the condition. The fact is that the favorable, or even you can translate a little differently, desirable or undesirable circumstances and things cannot give pleasure or pain, but it is affinity with them which is the cause of pleasure and pain. The same thing, okay? Again, how come this burfi is coming all the time today? Okay, the person, okay? Happiness, if it is only in burfi, then it should give happiness to everybody, right? But now the person with the sugar, what's going to happen? It's not good for him or her, right? So, the cause, what caused the pleasure and pain? Attachment, that, right? Not only with the burfi, not with that particular thing, okay? Right, okay? The fan, for an example, if you on it in summer, good. But try to on the same fan in winter, the fan is the same. But it doesn't give us the pleasure which it used to give it in December, and not in July. Why? It's not the fan. So, the Bhagavan Krishna has called the objects Sukha Dukkha, produces of pleasure and pain. Not only with that, okay? And that's why here they have used the word Shitoshna Sukha Dukkha, favorable and unfavorable. So the same fan in December was in favorable condition, but in July, unfavorable condition. We were looking forward for the fan to on. Once we go into home, let me on the fan, for an example, okay? But in July, we don't do that. Yeah, okay. Agama paina. All objects have a beginning and an end. They are born and disappear. So they are agama pai. Okay. They appear and they disappear. It comes and goes. Anitya. It may be said that objects may not have pre-existence or post-existence, but in between they do exist. The Bhagavan Krishna declares that as they are anitya, anitya means transient, they do not exist even in the interim. They change every moment. We don't notice, but it's changed all the time, every moment. They change so swiftly that no one can see they again in the same form. That's why the wise man gives the example that, okay, my father took dip in Ganga with that white man influence, we say Ganges. My father took dip in Ganga in Haridwar. And the same Haridwar, I also took the dip. My daughter is also going to dip. No, what the Ganga? What my father took dip? It's changed. The water is gone. It's no water. It's gone. Therefore, Bhagavan says they do not exist even in the interim. They change all the time, but we don't notice it, okay? Because they do not maintain the same shape. The next moment, it's going to change all the time. Therefore, the Bhagavan Krishna has called all objects as anitya, transient. It means that all worldly objects are transitory and fleeting, and they change every moment, and including our body, okay? Not only objects, but the senses, including the inner sense with which we perceive objects, are also transitory, right? There is always a change in them. For example, the senses get tired by the evening while working throughout a day and get refreshed in the morning. Yeah, now it's fine. Get tired. After night sleep, the next morning, be fresh. Here, all objects in a cross sense are called agamapayana, appearing and disappearing. It comes, it goes. In a finer sense, these are called anitya, changing every moment. In a finer way, they will be described in the, it will be coming in the 16th verse, in the same chapter, asata, nasato vidyate bhava. As asata, non-existent, while the soul, described earlier as eternal, will be called as sata, eternal, ever existent. Mere knowledge of agreeable and disagreeable senses is not at all defective, but attachment with the aversion to them or pleasure and pain in relation to them is a fault. Not to be affected by such an evil is expressed by the expressions stans titiksa, to bear. Titiksa, we need to bear not only the pain, the pleasure also. Pain and pleasure both. Secondly, the body and senses and their actions have a beginning and an end, while you, as a spectator, are different from them. They always change, but you never change. Therefore, you should remain unaffected by them. You should ignore them. To remain unaffected is called here titiksha. It goes, comes. Sukhave jai, dukhave jai. It comes, it goes. Because the moment it appears, it's not today, tomorrow, it's going to disappear. The moment we meet, departure will be there. As the body remains uniform but changes every moment. Similarly, all the worldly objects, which is known as Prakriti, nature, and its evolutes, which are perceived by sense, mind, intellect never remain uniform. They undergo union and disunion. It comes and goes. Yeah. We feel happy with the union of those objects which we like, and their disunion makes us sad. It can be object or it can be a person. Yeah, okay. We feel happy with the disunion of those objects which we do not like, and their union makes us sad. Objects are also fleeting and transient. Similarly, the senses and their inner faculty are also fleeting and transient, and the pleasure or pain caused by the union or disunion of these objects is also fleeting and transient. But the self, again Bhagavan says, but the self ever remains the same. It is immutable and eternal. Therefore, one should bear them. One should bear them what? Pain and pleasure. One should bear them patiently. One should feel happy and sad by their union and disunion but remain unaffected. Pleasure and pain both are different, but their seer is one and he is separate, unaffected from both of them. By seeing the changeable, the immutability of the self, soul is naturally perceived as unchangeable. Only can see the changeable. Okay. Shitoshna Sukhadukkhada. Okay. So basically, okay, it gives us the message to remain unattached. I have so many times given the example of the line from Arjun Geeta in Gujarati. My granny used to sing daily. Sansarma sarsho rahe ne man mari paas. સંસારમાં લેપાય નહીં તે જાણું મારો દાસ. Sansar, world, okay? Yeah. He's always in the world. સંસારમાં સંસો રહે, but the mind always engaged in me. And even though he is in the world, he is totally unattached from the world. That is my devotee. Anyway, there is little but more in these words also. Probably we'll see next week. Okay. And today's discussion, whatever you like, credit goes to all that wise men, the saints, the literature, the scripture which I have heard, I have read, I have studied. Absolutely nothing belongs to me. And again, as you know, that our main reference book is Swami Ram Sukdas Ji, Sadhak Sanjeevani. Okay. We will be reciting the 73rd verse of 18th chapter. Nashto moha smrutirlabdha pat prasadan mayachyuta sthitosme gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava.